Hello everybody, it's Kathy Champion and you're back in my craft room here at Random Access Stamping, and I'm so excited today to play with and bring you what I'm hoping is going to be a gorgeous card out of this Blossoms in Bloom. This is a gorgeous stamp set. The dies go so well with it. This is one of those stamp sets that you will definitely want the dies because they are stunning. So without any further ado, I'm just going to jump right in here because we've got a lot to do. When you stamp the stamp out, I did it in a Rococo Rose. I always want to call that Rocco, and I know it's not. And I also did it in a Poppy Parade. And you can see that it's a very kind of muted type looking stamp, but it goes so dramatic when you put the overlays over it. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we get started. I'm going to use a Balmy Blue ink. I have cut a piece of Flirty Flamingo card base. This is actually going to be the matte on the front of our card. And I had already run this through. This is the piece that does the little overlay. This is one of the overlays. And it is very delicate, and I'm going to show you what it looks like against that. Is that not pretty? I love this. I think it's so pretty. But we're gonna build this up, so this isn't the only thing. But that's one of those dies. The other one is going to give us a much deeper image, and then that's going to layer over top of our stamps. So we're going to work on that. But like I said, these dies are gorgeous, and they work so well with the stamp set. The first thing we want to do is build our card base, and because this is a bigger image and a bigger die cut, we are going to make this a 6x6 card. Now I'm using my my Stampin' Up! Trimmer. I love this trimmer because look, it comes all the way over to here. It automatically, when you bump it against this lip, you get a 6-inch cut, which that is amazing. You don't have to swing an arm out or anything. You just cut perfect 6-inch. The same way when you get ready to score, because not only does this trimmer cut, it scores as well. So I'm going to pull my cut blade. The darker blade is your cut blade, and it houses down here so it's out of your way. 6x6, we're going to put that right there, put it there, and I'm going to be a little more gentle that time. Or maybe I got a little heavy-handed, and then we are going to fold this in half, just like that. And I'm going to use my bone folder, and I am going to press that down, and that's going to be our card base. Now, like I said, this is going to be our matte, so we are going to matte this in this pretty Flirty Flamingo. Isn't that pretty? Just like that. Alright, we're going to lay that over, and you know what? Since I have already cut this, I'm going to go ahead and finish the cut on it. And I'll tell you why I'm going to do that. I want to stamp on a piece of this. So we are just going to lift this out. And I think for the sake of, well, you know what, maybe we can make this work. Let's use the bigger stamp block. I was going to do this in my Misty, but you know, I don't care if this doesn't come out totally perfect. Let me move some of my stuff over here. I'm actually going to use my little Stampin' Pierce mat, and we are going to put the stamp set, and you can see this is a good size stamp. You see how big that is? And you can see where I've been stamping with it because the ink does somewhat dye your photopolymer stamps, especially if you're using the ink, the dye ink, which that's what all of the Stampin' Up! Inks, they are dye inks. So sometimes with those you get, let's see, I think I want it to go about like that. It's not really going to matter because we're going to punch it out, but let me get my larger stamp block. Another great thing about the Stampin' Up! Stamp blocks, they come in a bundle, and this is your largest one. It accommodates stamps this size. I mean, And like I said, this is a nice heavy stamp set, stamp block. So you do not have to worry about, you don't have to worry about the weight of it being really light. When you press this down on your paper, you're going to get a beautiful image. So I'm going to try this. I did this earlier in my stamp positioner, and but let's see how it works out like this. You know, if it doesn't, we can stamp it again. It's just paper. So I'm going to load this up with my ink, and anytime I'm using my stamp block, a big one like this, I like to take the ink to the stamp rather than the other way around. It just allows me to get a better coverage on my stamp. So I'm going to just really press that ink down in there because I want a good coverage. I'm going to go ahead and close this ink pad back up. I'm going to check my fingers to make sure I don't have any ink on my fingers, and I do, but it's worn in for right now. And then I'm going to bring this back over here, and we are going to put this down right about there. And now I am going to take, this is kind of unconventional, but I'm going to take a soft cloth and just rub. What that's going to allow is, oops, it rocked just a little bit. I hope that didn't mess it up. That's going to allow you to get that image in there, hopefully perfect. So let's hope. I think that will work. I know it looks very muted right now, but once we get our piece on it, I think this is going to be fine. I'm just going to get a little bit of stamp cleaner. In fact, I might just use water on this. It's easier to clean this block from right here. And see, I'm just using a cloth, a little microfiber cloth, and I sprayed just some plain water on it and clean that off just like that. Not bad, huh? Not bad. I can still see some pink. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's showing in the camera a little bit. But it's not bad. So I'm going to lay this over here for right now. And the next thing that I want to do is I want to cut this out. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exact, but I'm just going to use my paper snips, and I am going to come in and just cut around this just ever so, and I'll probably do it twice. I'm going to rough cut first. And this is something you do not, now you're probably saying, well, you got dies, why don't you cut this? Well, the dies would cut out too much of it or not enough of it, and that's not what I want. I want this to stay intact, and you'll see where I'm going with this once we get it. I may have wished I'd used, I've got this stamped in the Balmy Blue over here where I did it in the positioner, so because I was playing with it and just testing it, so we might end up using that one. It's already cut, but I just want to show you what I was talking about. It's also stamped a little darker than this one, so maybe I will use that one. We'll see. We're going to get our other piece cut, and we put it together. We'll decide which one we like the best. That's a lot of times what I do. I will stamp something one way. I might stamp it 2 or 3 times, and I'll try it out and see which one I like the best. And you know, that's the fun part of playing with paper. It makes it so much fun just to play. And I'll show you the other one that I have. This one I think came out much prettier, and I've cut out my little middle pieces that I didn't need. Yeah, I did this one in the positioner, and look at the difference. Yeah, I think I'm going to use this one. This one's already cut. And if you notice how I fussy cut it, I didn't do any perfection. I just rough cut around the edges. So yeah, let's use this one. Alright, the next thing we need to do is we're going to use the other die. Like I said, you have 2 dies in here. This one right here cuts out your fine white piece, which is right here. This one cuts that. And then you have a second one that cuts, the second one will cut much better. So what we're going to do, it's actually more, it covers more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down on this Night of Navy, and let me pull my machine over, and this is our new Stampin' Die and Emboss machine. And I'm putting in my number 1 plate, my number 2 plate, a number 3 plate that you can see has already gotten some wear and tear. But I am loving this die machine. If any of you remember watching a video where I showed how to use the die machine, and I was showing y'all about that one die that I could not get to cut, I got it to cut on this one. I could not believe it. I tried that yesterday morning. I was in here just playing around in my craft room, and I thought, I want to do some cuts with this die machine and see how it plays in comparison to some of the other die machines that I've gotten. So I was impressed, totally impressed. So we're just going to crank this through. And I'm going to take it back through. You don't have to crank it back through. I do that normally because I'm usually in front on this side of my die machine because I keep it sitting here. But that does work. So let me move some of this stuff out of my way. I've got way too much stuff on my work surface. Okay, and then we can take these 2 plates off. These are our number 3 plates. And look at that. Every piece came out of the die. We have nothing left in there. And I'm going to lay my die plates back over here. Sorry for the bang. And now I'm going to very gently lift this up. And this is what I'm wanting to see. I'm wanting to see all of this fall away. That is gorgeous. Look how easy those pieces are coming out. And this is a fairly intricate die. You know, the more intricate your dies are, usually the harder time you will have with them. But look at that. That cut out beautifully. Alright, we're going to lay that over and we'll throw these pieces in the trash. And let's get that out of our way. And now we are going to start to build our card. Now here's our pieces. And there is our front of our card because this is our mat. So what I want to do is I want to lay this down about like that. And then we're going to take this piece and lay it over it, covering up the white to the best of our ability. You want to make sure you're getting it to the edges. And a good way to do that would be to maybe bring it up in your hand and just, oh, I see one little dot that didn't come out. Anytime that you see that, you can just grab your little pick tool, and I'll show you how wonderful this is. It's not just for picking up the backers off of your, it actually helps release the little, see, it was just a little dot, just barely a dot that was in there, and that took that out so nice. And if you have more intricate dies, you can use the brush end, and this is a accessory for your take your pick tool, and that works out great because you can roll it across your dies and get your pieces out. But that's working out perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to make sure I'm lining this up. And if you notice that you've got any pieces of this that needs to be trimmed out a little bit more, don't be afraid to go in and get this trimmed out totally. Just like this. Sometimes you just have to come in and clean it up a little bit because we don't want too much of this white to show on the outer edges. So just, you know, come in. We'll hold it up to it now and see what happens. But you always know which way to go with it because your 3 flowers are to the bottom. And line that up like that. Just like that. And doesn't that look pretty? I don't mind some of the white showing because it looks like it's little specks within the card itself. Now this one right here looks like it needs to be trimmed because this one is sticking out just a little bit. And like I said, don't be afraid to trim your pieces because, you know, even if you mess it up, it's not the end of the world. It's white cardstock and some ink. So you just go back in and stamp it again. No biggie. Alright, so what I want to do now is I want to put some glue down, but I'm going to put my glue on this piece here. I am going to put my glue on that piece, just like that. So let's hold this up, and I'm going to bring out just a little of the tombow, like this. But I'm going to try to be careful, and I'm just going to put a little dab in the middle of these flowers first, and then I'm just going to run it around these places. Doesn't have to touch everything, just a little bit. Can go a long ways. Make sure you get it on your little leaves. A little bit around here. I always say tapping your glue is a good thing because a lot of times just tapping it gives you just the right amount. And my dog thinks it's somebody knocking. Toby, it's nobody at the door, darling. It's just Mama. Yes, I call myself Mama to my puppy because he is my baby. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this up, and I want those 3 flowers to the bottom, and I'm going to try really, really hard to set this down just like I need it to be. And you know that never happens, so let's pick it up and try arranging it like we need it. And I got glue on the flowers. It's okay. Our glue should dry fairly clear, so we shouldn't have an issue with that. Okay. Now there is our first piece. Now this piece is going to be a little more intricate. This is when I would bring out my fine tip glue. And I'm going to probably do this off camera because sometimes this glue can get a tiny bit messy, but this has this is the Stampin' Up fine tip glue pen, and it has basically a pin. This threads into the glue so that it doesn't go anywhere. And we are going to glue this piece down to this, and this is what it's going to look like. Isn't that beautiful? And it's going to live on top of this. So how pretty is that going to be? Alright, I'm going to move this out of my way so I don't get glue on it. I'm going to move that up, and then I'm going to start putting some glue all in here and all around here. This is the perfect time for this little bottle because it does have that fine tip. And you know, again, you don't have to get it everywhere. You just want to get enough to get it tacked down. You can always lift it up once you get it on there and put a little bit more. So I'm going to try that and see how we manage. And there's my 3. So I'm going to line up my leaves because they are a good guideline and slide that over. and pick it up in your hands so you can kind of guide it where you want it to go. And now once you get it laid on here, any place that doesn't adhere, I'm going to get a wipe and wipe this down. Wow, I sure wish I could have found my my little silicone sheet, because it sure would have come in handy right about there. And I'm sure it's right here in front of me, and I'm probably just overlooking it totally, but it's okay. I am gonna put this pen back in that glue so it doesn't dry up on me, because you'd never get that pen in it. Alright, so now I want to fan my work surface off just a little bit. Have it nice and dry to work on. Alright, so now I can actually come back in here with this glue, and we're just going to raise it up right in here and get a little bit there, a little bit right there, and then I'm just going to mash that down to the paper just like that. And we're going to do the same thing over here. We're just going to do a little bit of glue. I think sometimes you do better if you put it on the larger places. It just gives you a little bit more to glue to. And isn't that beautiful? I love the way this looks. It is such a statement piece. Isn't that pretty? I love the darker with the light. I think it's just stunning. So I'm real pleased. It took a little work, as you could see, to work that piece, because you did have to stamp and fussy cut, and you had two pieces that you had to die cut. But look how stunning it is. You know, beautiful things don't come by chance. They come by usually hard work. And my husband went out to do some shopping for me, so I was just checking to make sure that wasn't a message from him. A lot of times when he goes to the grocery store, he calls because he has questions. What did you want? What was this? I don't see what you're looking for. Do any of you wives relate? Yes, I'm very blessed to have a husband that will go shopping for me. All right, the next thing I want to do is I'm looking for a sentiment, and I'm wondering what type of sentiment do I want on this card. And these are not speaking to me. So, not a problem, because we got lots of stamp sets. We're just going to go and pull a different stamp set. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to glue this. Let's see, we might want to put this on first. I really like that. Or maybe like that. Yeah, I'm indecisive, and y'all know it. I think I like it like that. So, we've got plenty of area under here that we can put some dimensionals on this. So I think I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals. I think that would be the perfect accessory. I'm still looking for my mat, y'all. I know it's over here in one of my drawers. I just feel sure that it is. Alright. I got my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I've got some, let me get my snail, or my Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to use this Stampin' Seal Plus, because I really want this to adhere. So we're going to put this piece, our mat, down on our 6x6. This piece right here I cut at 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and it is going on a piece of cardstock. Y'all saw me cut this from a 12 by 12 piece, and I cut it at 6 inches, and then I scored it at 6 inches. So that gives us that beautiful 6x6 card. So let's go ahead and get this Stampin' Seal going. if you notice, I'm not fighting with this as bad as I was. There's a learning curve, but you know what? Once you get it, I'm just going to put one piece across the middle, and I think this will hold this just fine. So now I'm going to sit this down about like this. Nice little border around the edge of it. And then I want to use some Stampin' Dimensionals on this. And I am going to get several off of here. And I'm going to just put them willy-nilly over here and there. I like to pull them off like 3 at a time. Maybe we'll do one right there. And you might say, wow, you're using a whole lot of dimensionals on that. Yeah, but you know what? It is so worth it. When you see this raised up on this card and you see the dimension that it adds, you're going to be like, wow. Wow. How pretty. So let's go right here and here. And here. I think that's going to be really good, and I think that's all we're going to need. Yeah, and that's going to live up on the card, and it's going to be beautiful. Maybe like that. Alright, let's get our little paper pierce, or little, take your pick tool, and let's wrangle these little boogers off of here. I love Lisa Crucio showed me how to do this, and I am thrilled with this because it does allow you to wrangle these little pieces so you don't have them all over your craft room, and then you can just put them right into the my puppy dogs are snoring. If y'all hear that in the background, they are asleep under my feet right here in my craft room. They're always under my feet, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I usually just feel these to see where I'm at, because as I'm talking, sometimes I lose track of where I'm at. Do y'all ever do that? If you're a YouTuber, I'm sure you do, because it is so easy to do that when you're talking. A lot of times when I'm in my craft room and I'm not recording and I'm just, you know, doing my thing, it's very easy for me just to keep track of exactly where I'm at. Not quite so much when I'm recording, because I do need to talk to y'all. So we are going to put this like this. Just about like, I think like that. Oh yeah. That's gorgeous. Gorgeous. And now I need to decide on a sentiment, and I need to put a piece of the Flirty Flamingo inside my card. So let me go and grab a stamp set where we can put us a beautiful sentiment on here. And I have some ideas of where I might want to go with this, and I will be right back. Hang tight. Okay, we are back, and I have chosen this stamp set right here because I think that either one of these two sentiments, "You Are My Sunshine" or "Make Today Ridiculously Awesome," would be great on this card, because I'm thinking this would make a beautiful birthday card. This would also make a great encouraging card or a friendship card. You could also make this a thank you card. If someone had done something that was just outstanding and made your absolute day, how pretty of a card would this be to give to them? So I think what I want to do is "You Are My Sunshine" or "Make Today Ridiculously Awesome." So let's look at both of those, and I might stamp both of them and then decide which one I'm going to use. Oh, I love that. "You Are My Sunshine." That would be gorgeous right there. I think I'm going to use that. I really think that I have found the stamp that I want to use. So what I'm going to do is I am going to bring over this piece of white. This was left over from the card base. This piece right here was too, but it's not quite big enough to be able to stamp this on and be able to cut it out. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to look for a die because I want something to frame this that is just absolutely gorgeous. So look at those. There is a die on here. This is the Celebration label dies, and this is in the holiday catalog. It's over where the fall cards are. Look how big those label dies are. You could do an entire card front out of one of those. That may be exactly what I use because they're pretty. And I love pretty. So what we need to do is decide which one of these will work. And what I like to do is test them out on my card. Once I find the one that will work with my stamp, which that will, then I like to lay it on my card to see how much of my image it's going to cover up. And what I do with one like this where it's going to be on and off, let's go ahead and cut this, and then I'll tell you what, let's stamp and then we'll cut. How about that? Let's make sure that we have enough of room around here to stamp and cut. And that looks pretty, so we're gonna stamp it right about there. So let's get a stamp block. And this is a nice big stamp, so we're gonna get this stamp block. I'm gonna line this up right here. And what I like to do is get my stamps as nice and even as I possibly can before I put them on my block. That gives me a better chance of stamping it perfectly. Now my question is, do I want to do it in the Pretty Peacock or do I want to do it in a black or the Night of Navy? And that is where my dilemma comes in. I'm thinking the Night of Navy would be really pretty on this card. Let's try the Night of Navy and see what happens. The Night of Navy is such a pretty color. It's just very, very pretty. So let's move our card over here so we don't get ink on it. I have been known to do that. I am going to pull over a piece of scrap. This is just a scrap piece of paper because anytime, and I haven't used this stamp before, so it is new. And let's see how it's going to stamp the first time down. Beautiful. Like I said, you cannot beat a red rubber cling stamp. I am going to stamp again right here. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and commit, and we're going to do it on this piece of paper. If you notice, the reason I didn't use this, it's a different shade of white. So that was just a scrap piece of white that I had in my little scrap bin. Actually, my scrap bin is a cardboard box that I cut the flaps off of, and I have it sitting over here under the back side of my desk, just for that reason, so I have a place to throw my scraps. So, and you know, we all have our scraps, and I say don't throw them away because you never know when you're going to need to pull one out and use it. And you know, I was looking at that card and I'm really thinking some Wink of Stella on there is going to be perfect because it will give some shimmer in between those white pieces. Love it. I did get a little piece of ink right there. But you know what? I have a little eraser. It's a mono sand eraser that will hopefully pull that up. If that don't, maybe I'll pull out my big boy. I got a tool in here that has the mono sand eraser made into the tip, and it is actually electric or battery operated. My die around this and cut this out. And I think that's going to be beautiful right about there, and I'm going to use one of these little sticky notes just to tack that down on it. I think my sticky has gone off of my sticky notes, or my little flags, my little post-it flags. Maybe that'll hold it. Maybe that's telling me that I need to change those out and throw them out and get some fresh ones. So I'm not going to bring my die cut machine over. I'm just going to do this directly from here. So I'm going to put this in. Just like so. See if we can cut it this way. I absolutely love how easy this machine is to cut with. There's absolutely no strain whatsoever. It just cuts so pretty each and every time. And I could not be happier. So if you have not, well, unless you have joined up with Stampin' Up, you haven't had an opportunity to pick this up. But if you want to get this before it's released and get it for $99, you can actually join up, and actually you will get it for $99, plus you will get to purchase something else for $5. And I got the I got this Stampin' and Pierce mat because these are $5. So the $120 for the machine and $5 gave me exactly what I needed for my starter kit. So if you want to get this machine by doing that, you know, please by all means click on the join under my website or on my website, or give me a call and I will get you taken care of. You do not have to sell. You can just totally do this just for you. All right. And so I'm going to open up my card now, making sure I'm on the right side. And I want to see what this is going to look like here or here or here. I think I like it right here. So I think right here's where I want it. And I know that right across this side I need some Stampin' Dimensionals. And on the other side, I want to just glue it flat down. So what I'm going to do is grab out my, oh, I already have them out right here. I'm going to grab these out, and I know that right across here, I don't want to go any further than where the end's at. So I'm going to put one right there, just to kind of let me know that I can't go any further than that. One there, one there. And one right there on the edge. And maybe one more right about there. And I think that's going to help that to sit. Maybe we can do one right here. And that looks like that's going to work pretty good. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, maybe before I do that, I'll put some glue on here. So I'm just going to use some Tombow, and I'm just going to use the cap of it, the nozzle, to spread this glue around. Just like that. And then we're going to pull these off really quick. Flick them off. And then we're going to move fast so we can get this on here before that glue dries. And I'm going to put that right about there and press it down. And how gorgeous is that? I love the way that turned out. So now what we want to do is we want to grab a piece of that Flirty Flamingo. I'm going back into my large pack because that's where this was at. And when I say large, it is the 12 by 12. And these are in the brights. So in case you want to order some of this paper, it is beautiful cardstock. I just love it. So I'm going to cut me off a piece of 5 by 5. 5 and 3/4 by 5 and 3/4. So let's grab our trimmer. I have such a mess all over here. It is unreal. Oops. Oops, we don't want to bend our card, so I'm going to lay that up there. I do have a mess, y'all. I don't craft without making a mess. I don't know if y'all are like that, but I always make a mess. But that's okay. They say you're not having fun if you're not making a mess, so I evidently am having lots and lots of fun. So we need to turn that because we need to take this down to 5 and 3/4. So because this piece was 6. So I'm going to cut that off, and then this will give us that perfect piece to put inside. So let's grab our card, and I want to map another piece of white to this. So I'm just going to grab a piece of Whisper White. And I'm going to cut this one down to 5.5 by 5.5. That will give us that little 1/4 inch border. And this is the piece we're actually going to stamp our sentiment on. And I think I'm going to use the Night of Navy on this as well, just to kind of carry it through. So 5.5 by 5.5. And there we have our piece to go inside. So we are going to glue these. I think what I want to do is I want to stamp on this first because it would be easier to replace this piece than it would to, I think it would make it easier. So what I'm saying is I think it would make it much, much easier if we stamped this before we put it on here. If we have a mishap, that way we're only messing up one piece of cardstock instead of 2. So I try to do everything I can not to ruin my my stamps, my cardstock. I want to make my cardstock go as far as I possibly can. So let me grab the sentiment that I want to use inside because I am not seeing it. Maybe I do want to do You Got This, P.S. I Love You. Maybe that's what I want to do. So let's doll this up a little bit. Let's do You Got This right up there, and maybe we'll do these little, and we'll put P.S. I Love You at the bottom. I think that'd be so cute. And we'll do one of these on this side and one on that side. So let's move those off. I had to stop and think, was that what I wanted to do? And it was. So it took me just a moment to make that decision, but anytime y'all hear me get quiet in my videos, I'm thinking. I know that's a dangerous thing to do, isn't it? Well, it is for me, but that's okay. So I'm going to wipe this off. Look how beautiful they clean up. I love it. grab this stamp block. Oh, my stamp blocks are so dirty. Yeah, I think I say that every time I do a video. I keep forgetting to wash them. I have wiped them off with some alcohol wipes though, so that's pretty good. Okay, Night of Navy again. And we are going to stamp this. You got this. And I'm going to do it on this one, just to make sure I'm getting a good stamp. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous. Let's bring this back over. And you got this. It's going to go right about here. Very pretty. Now, what did I do with them? I'll tell you what, guys, if I was any more organized, I probably would be terribly dangerous, because I have not been at my best today. Seems like I'm struggling with everything that I do. So let's turn this around, because I need to clean on this side and dry on the other. But I love the way the Stampin' scrub. I don't think I have anything in here right now but water, and it cleans my stamps so pretty. Look how clean that is. No ink, nothing's left on it. It cleans so pretty. Alright, I am going to pull this one off and stick it right here. And I want to put this little ditty on here. And we're going to ink that up. And I want to put that right about there. And I think I'm going to turn it and put this one right down here. You got this. I love it. I love that. And then we're going to come back with the P.S. I love you. And I'm going to pull both of these off. And we're just going to lay them over here on the perspective stamp set that they go with. That way I can put them back where they belong. And this I want to go right here. And I got plenty of room to sign. So let's ink this up. And we're going to stamp it right here at the bottom. Oh, I love the way this has turned out. It is so pretty. That is exactly what I had in mind. And I think it just turned out so perfect. Clean up my stamps. And I would recommend anybody that invests in stamp sets to clean your stamps immediately after you use them. It is not a good thing to leave the ink on them. It can cause them to deteriorate. It's absolutely one of my pet peeves, is to make sure I clean my stamps. And y'all know this about me because you see me do this over and over. So, just one of my little idiosyncrasies. We all have them. Some are worse than others. I'm going to try to dry that just for a minute before I turn it over. And now we're going to use our Stampin' Seal. And get a good little amount of it right along the sides. a little piece in the middle. And then we're going to turn it. And what I like to do when I'm putting my card base down, I like to use my edge of my cardstock to be like my ruler. So I'm going to put it down about like that. And that's perfect. Now we're going to open this up and we are going to do the same thing, but we're going to put it inside. And I think for this, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use the Stampin' Seal. I like to do this because if it goes off the edge, just roll it back over onto itself like you would two-sided tape. It works. And now this one is going to go in right about there and over. Perfect. Or as perfect as we can get things, because you know we don't do perfection by no means. But how pretty is that? I love that card. I think it turned out absolutely gorgeous. Now this card is ready to put in the mail to a lucky recipient that would probably be thrilled to have this. But before we stop, let's grab that one Castella. And let's see. I have a clear. That one's green. I don't think we want green. This is the clear. So I'm going to shake up my Wink Stella. You always want to shake it. You'll hear a little ball bearing in it, and that just gets your glimmer mixed up. And then once you get that ready, you are ready to squeeze your barrel just a little bit and start painting. And paint that in on those insides of the flower. Look at that. You don't have to do a whole lot. You just put down a nice amount to give a sparkle. And sometimes it doesn't show up really good on the camera. So it never seems like it does it justice when you're looking at it. But off camera, it really does make a difference in just how gorgeous your pieces can be by just adding a little something. I think I want to do some sequins on this too. Or pearls. Not sure yet. We'll look and see what we got. But I really think it needs a little element of something gorgeous. This is much too elegant of a card not to accentuate it with something very pretty. And there we go. I don't know if you can see the sparkle. That's catching it a little bit. So pretty. So pretty. I love that. My goodness. I did miss a place. I didn't get right in here. You know, if you miss a place, you can always go back and add a little more. And if you didn't feel like you got enough in some places, you can go back and add a little more. And let's see what we have in our little drawer of goodies. Toby. Now I have some of these little sequins that have adhesive on the back of them. These are Stampin' Up. They are in the annual catalog. I'm wondering, maybe these. These are gorgeous. These may pick up that beautiful pink in there. So I'm going to put one right here. And maybe another one right about there. And let's put another one here. I like them in threes. Let's put one right there. Let's do one here and maybe a smaller one under it. And then I think it needs one larger one right about here. And we're going to do one more small one right about there. Oh yeah. Now see, the little details that you add to your cards can dress them up so much and make things come to life. So never be afraid to accessorize. Isn't that gorgeous? And the sequins catch the light, and the Wink of Stella catches the light. This is stunning. I'm loving it. I love it. Okay, that card is done. We can call this a done deal. So let me zoom in so you can get a closer look. And I'm zooming you right now. Let's move it down just a hair. And maybe up. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful card. I so enjoyed making this card. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed watching. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, for taking time out of your busy day to be here with me and watch what I create. And I hope that I was an inspiration to you to try something new, try something a little different. Get your stamp sets and your dies out and play with them. You just never know what you can make come to life out of playing with them. I know some of us are so guilty of getting our stamps and our dies and we tuck them away on a shelf and we never bring them out. And the reason I know that's because I'm guilty too. I have some stamp sets on my shelf that I have never pulled out, never stamped, never made a card out of, and what a shame. I had stamp sets out of last year's catalog that I never got a chance to bring y'all because they were retired. And they're lovely, lovely, lovely stamp sets and dies. So I'm going to make it a priority to try to make sure that I bring things that I haven't brought to you before by digging into my stamps and my dies and my punches and things like that and see what we come up with. God bless you. Thank you so much. If you're watching this and you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. I created this channel just for my Stampin' Up! And I have not reached the pinnacle on this channel that I want. Of course, I've only had it up for about a week, and I think I have like 48 subscribers. So if you're watching this channel and you have not subscribed, please go over and hit that subscribe button and let me know. Leave me a comment and say I just subscribed. And also the comments. I have no way of knowing who watches my videos unless you comment. So even a one-word comment means so much. It lets me know that you're there, you're supporting me, and you're watching what I do. And that means so much to every YouTube creator out there. So it only takes a second just to leave a one-word comment. It means the world to me. And as I always tell you when I'm closing out my videos, because it is my mission, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy. And you might ask, what are the things that I do and say? Everyday conversation. If it's not pleasing to God, don't allow it to come out of your mouth. If you're gossiping ugly things about someone, think about it and think, is this what Jesus would want me to say about this person? You may not know all their situation. You may not know their circumstances, and you're passing judgment. Well, don't do that. It can be so cruel. And We need to love one another now more than ever because we are living in a crazy world. So show love to someone today. Let them know that they mean the world to you. And until we craft again, I love each and every one of you so much. God bless, and may He keep you. Bye-bye.